Welcome to the Real Estate Baller Show. If you ever like any of the video we posted, if you like this channel, can you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? It helps us more than you know. And the bigger this channel get, the more people we can help achieve financial freedom. Thank you and enjoy the episode.
I am very disciplined when it comes to the money. I'm very thankful for my parents for passing that on to me. One of the things my mom used to always tell me was, it's not about how much you make, it's about what you do with what you make. And that always stood in my head every time I was like, I have to create something with the money that I'm making. So I had money saved up and I was like, okay, I want to find, because at the time I didn't know what wholesaling was. It was flipping was the thing. And so I went into my first flip with no experience, nothing. I was just the way I learned was I have to do it. If I'm going to learn how to do this, I have to actually go through the process of it so I can learn to do it, because there's so many times you can go and listen to people on how to flip, on how to acquire. And I'm a very action taker. I love to take action because that's how I learn, and one of my beliefs is if this is either going to work or it's not, but I'm going to know, I'm going to learn something from this. And let me tell you, I learned. So I purchased my first property pretty blindly. I had this guy gave me the numbers, right? And I was like, okay, the numbers look good to me. I'm buying it, So I got the lending and everything. Well, this property was everything that could go wrong into this property went wrong for me. And even whenever I was 2 weeks in this, I found out I was pregnant, and I was not expecting to have any more kids. I was done. So that was a huge surprise to start off with, right? So now I'm pregnant, my emotions are crazy. And so we started doing the rehab. And as soon as we were, I had a lot of issues in the middle of my rehab with contractors. They were doing the work not right. I had a contractor that showed up drunk to the job. And, he was the one doing our foundation. So when he was done with our foundation, our house it was pretty much caved in. So that was a mess. And then, so after we were done, going through all those issues through getting the property done, we were done. We listed. I even staged the property because that was a thing too, right? You want to stage it to sell it quicker. And the house flooded. It flooded the whole, and I had no flood insurance.
7 years ago. So that's
yeah.
happened, right?
They were happened through the tax. I don't know if you remember the tax season. It was in Memorial.
Yeah.
It was that. And do you remember how it flooded right after that too? We had something. So it flooded twice, 2 times.
Oh.
And I had redid it and refixed it. And
Did you have flooded?
No, I didn't have flooded.
Oh my God.
I didn't. And I mean, thank God my husband he's a contractor. So, I mean, he does a lot of things. He knows how to fix a lot of things, but he obviously couldn't do them all. So and then not only that, but the lady who had staged the property, she also had her things in there. And so she was kind of holding me reliable for those things as well. And I was like, oh my God. So it was a mess. And I was, like I said, in the middle of it, I was pregnant. And so I was so stressed out. It was really bad for me. And then once we got done, we fixed the property. But at that time, when I sold it, I had took a loss on it. I took a loss of $80,000 on it. So all my savings that I had saved, they were gone. I was so, but it's funny because I was hurt, but I was so happy to get out of this. I just wanted my peace back. I didn't even care about losing the money at that point, because I was pregnant with a baby. So this was a whole 9-month process, the whole entire time. The entire time I was pregnant, I was going through this flip, and it was a nightmare. I even called it the nightmare. It was called Eagle Rock, the name of the street. I'm the nightmare on Eagle Rock. And then later on, I had found out that someone had actually committed suicide there. Yes. And so I was like,
Was it after?
after, like, I was already in the middle, and I was like, man, I think this property is like,
After
no,
sold it?
I found out whenever I was in the property still. So I had to disclose that, whenever I sold it. But they committed suicide in the garage. They actually hung themselves. And I was just like, oh my God. So I was like, that's probably why all these things are happening to this property. But I mean, overall, I got done. It was a nightmare. It was bad, right? I never told my husband how much money I lost because he was not going to let me continue into real estate, So I told him, yeah, he knew I took a loss. I didn't tell him until later. I started becoming more successful. I actually told him the truth, about it, because he was like, you're crazy. And after that, a lot of people would have quit, like would have been like, this is crazy. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so hold on. It's crazy. You probably like on the top crazy of views right now.
Yeah.
This one. So how did you, like, why did you continue? And how did you overcome
it was hard. Like, I tell you, I feel like a failure at the beginning. Like everything inside of me, I was going through a tough time because I just had a baby too. So my emotions, were kind of going crazy, but I grew up with boys, right? So I'm a very, whenever your brothers hit you and they beat you up and you kind of come back and you're like, oh, I'm not going to let you beat me up. I'm going to come back and get you. So I was built with that in me where I'm like, life just took me out right now. I got to come back. I'm not going to let it just, in my mind, I'm like, I'm coming back for my money that I lost. Like, I was upset, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it, and I knew for sure I didn't want to do flipping because I was scared to close on another property because of everything I went through. But I learned about wholesaling. And so I was determined to wholesale a property. So while I was working, because I had my hair studio, that helped me to kind of pay for, like if I wanted to do marketing and things like that. But I went to a mentorship. So I found a deal, right? I found another property that I was going to wholesale, but I went to a mentorship with Rafael Vargas, and it was not a mentorship. It was just a program. It cost us $5,000. And I asked my mom, can you loan me those $5,000? Because I really want to learn. And I know I messed up the first time, but I know everything I did wrong. So she was like, yes, she trusted me. So she gave me the money. And I went with another girl, and we actually paid for this guy's mentorship. And she had a property she wanted me to flip with her. And I was like, no. And my mom was going to let us borrow the funds to flip that property. And I was like, no. I said, why don't instead we wholesale this property and let's pay with the money my mom was going to let us borrow. Let's pay for this mentorship so we could learn to do this the correct way. So that's what we did. And we took a leap of faith because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm just, having faith that by buying this mentorship, it's going to help us. And sure enough, I mean, that's really what kind of helped us, because now we learn how to build the systems, the processes, the marketing, the operations, everything. And that's what helped us to really, and this was before wholesaling was a thing here in Houston. We were one of the first ones to go out there with this mentor guy. And then a lot of people started to find out, like, hey, these girls, because they started to see how successful we were. They're like, these girls went to this guy's mentorship. So then a lot of people, because that's where cold calling and SMS, they were not a thing yet. Like, nobody knew about them. Everybody was still doing direct mail, was doing like all the, what we're doing now. It's funny because now we're doing that again. But, they didn't know about hiring a cold caller to cold call, where to find the VAs at. So that's what we were trained on. So that's how we were able to get better. So the third month of our mentorship, that's when we hit our first 100K month. We made 100K, and we were just like, oh my God, like we couldn't believe it. And I cried because I was like, oh my God, I got my money back. But I was so determined, and I knew it in my heart, like I'm going to give it my all in this mentorship because I want to learn this and I want to get my money back. So that's how and then that's how we kind of learned from there. And we just like took off, it was like a rocket ship, it was like, we went from doing nothing to like, boom, like we started doing like 6 figures, each month.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I do have a favor to ask. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with more amazing stories and insights from REBallers. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you can find a great property management company. So if you own an Airbnb, a vacation rental, or a short-term rental, and you are looking to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rentals at 281-549-8432, or check out our website at www.buzzvacationrentals.com.